Good morning, everybody. Call this meeting to order. And the first item of business is to pause the regular session and open the public meeting for the State Division 22 Standards and Compliance. Mr. Berry?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Campbell. As Joe is getting the slideshow up for you, and you also have it in your documents on board book. I just want to thank Nancy for setting up and providing and having somebody facilitate an amazing snack and charcuterie and goodies over there for National Principal Month. So facilitating that. So as you know, annually we give a Division 22 update. It actually, I do appreciate the state of Oregon for modifying when we do this. We years and years we did it in the spring actually for the previous year, and it just felt kind of out of date. So they moved it up. I want to publicly thank Denise. She is instrumental in getting this report and gathering all the documents. Do you remember last year? The state shared with us that it's what Denise does and how she reports is an exemplar for others in the state. So, yeah, you can go to the next slide, the next two slides actually. Just going to give an overview of what Division 22. We've done this before. These are slides that were manufactured by the state that we will that talk about what the Division 22 standards are, how we are as far as compliance, and then what's coming up on the docket for next year, which would be this current year that we report on. Division 22 standards does not mean there's 22 standards that we are obligated to comply with. There's actually about 60 of them. And to tell you the truth, it seems like they continue to add more and more. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But it is an OAR, Chapter 581, Division 22 standards, and it's part of the obligations school districts need to comply with in order to be credentialed. Next slide, please. The categories you'll see there, teaching and learning, health and safety, performance and accountability, and human resources and staffing. I do want to thank the staff here that continue to get documents for Denise and ensure our policies are up to date to meet the Division 22 standards. Next slide, please. There are some documents in there and some links that you can talk that explain the requirements. Really is a high level of accountability, and then they do publish biannually any updates or revisions that come up. And it seems like there's always a revision or an update on a 22 standard based on legislature or ODE or Board of Education that makes those decisions. Next slide, please. This is just what we're obligated to, and we are doing this presentation and sharing this with the board and having this public meeting with opportunity for public comment as well. Well, we need to do that by November 1st, and then we will have everything submitted by the mid-November to the state and published on our website. Next slide, please. Basically, this is why did we do this, or why does the state of Oregon have these assurances? It's really to ensure that there's a baseline accountability measure that every student in our state is getting a baseline education. It's definitely not the floor of this. This is there's opportunities to increase this as well, which we do every year. Next slide, please. What happens if a district is out of compliance? And we are out of compliance that I'll talk about with one Division 22 standard here in a little bit. Essentially, we send that up to ODE. We've already made a plan to be in compliance, and they review that and they monitor that for us. Typically, we have been in compliance with every one of them, but I'll talk about the one we're out of compliance with. So next slide. For this year, you can go to the next slide as well. There are new rules. Menstrual Dignity Act is new in effect this year. This is one that we aren't in compliance with because it is every bathroom, every school, and we're not quite there yet. So we do have a number of dispensaries in our bathrooms, our single-use bathrooms. Most of our all of our bathrooms that are female and our unisex bathrooms as well. So we will make a plan to get that in compliance. I will tell you on this was one of the Division 22 standards that I think took districts by surprise a little bit because there wasn't a lot of input from districts or school boards, I believe, to be in the rulemaking with that. And we'll continue to talk to our legislature about what makes sense, what's good for our students and the availability of safety for our kids.
Clarification on that, Mr. Barry, if I may. So are all Division 22 standards based on a passed law by the legislature or
a Board of Education?
Or the Board of
Yeah,
Education
yeah.
from ODE?
So sometimes it's legislative, sometimes it's Board of Education.
Okay, and so for clarity,
This-
student, district-wide, we have products available in all of our unisex bathrooms, K through 12.
Yes,
Okay, we just don't
in
have,
about 90% of our bathrooms essentially.
got it.
So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. So when we do have reporting, there are 60 and then we're out of compliance with one with a plan of action. And that plan of action will be, you can go to the next slide, please. And then the next one will be to create a plan to be in compliance. And in conjunction with working with our legislators and our leaders of what makes sense for this standard. It could be a revision on a 2022 standard, which could be something that we could advocate for as well. Looking ahead, we are already planning. Next slide, please. Thank you. And the next one. We're already planning. There are new guidance from the legislature and the Board of Education about personal finance and higher ed and career pathway skills for which is good. These are obviously important skills for kids to obtain and be ready for the real world. These are also unfunded mandates, I might add. So there's no additional funding or staffing or anything to add to make this happen. But we are working right now, and I think we have a pretty good plan in place to be able to meet these needs. And it's really interesting too, when they have these standards and they say, hey, districts must do that. Oftentimes the standards don't come until way later. And so people are like, well, we're about a year into when our students need to meet this requirement. But we are adaptable and flexible and have a good plan. And we also have a great team that looks at the standards and see where we're meeting those needs in other curriculum areas. It might be CTE. It might be some other mathematics courses or be able to fit into some. It might even be financial literacy at the middle school level that we've been teaching for 3 years to be able to obtain high school credit. And then there's some, the last slide, I think, is there's some other requirements on sharing with parents the diploma, and then new for this year is the opioid prevention education lessons. And I just saw, maybe it was this morning or yesterday, that toolkit came out for all districts to be able to utilize, which is one thing that, ODE does provide, is they do have a lot of toolkits. And when they have Division 22 standards, to be able to share with districts. So it's not recreating the wheel for everybody. There's definitely resources available. And that's all I had for Division 22. If there's any questions, I don't know if there's any public wishing to make comment.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
It was only me and Joe online.
Go ahead, Dawn.
So I guess one's a comment. I'll do a comment first and then a question. with conversations with Representative McIntyre, which we all know,
Mhm.
one of her goals is to re-look at all the curriculum shortly and all the standards and where they're in place. And so that might be part of this as well, so that's a good, and then my question for you, and oftentimes, I was gonna say oftentimes, they'll pass a law and then they'll change it before it gets into effect, so it's really hard to keep up. And my question to you is, have you talked with other superintendents and, organizations to help advocate for the Metro Dignity Act?
Yeah, I think there's, so by the way, we won't be the only school district in
Well, I
Southern
didn't think
Oregon
we
or
were.
the state that, will not comply with that standard here. So that discussion has been happening. I think, I think, first of all, it's good to have available
Yeah.
product
Yeah.
for, I think, you know, once the rulemaking happened, I think there was things that, you know, made sense and then didn't make sense. And so I do think we can have more of a coordinated effort from superintendents, COSA, OSBA to say, hey, can we look at revising this? Because as you see, there's revisions and updates all the time with Division 22. So can we look at that? And sometimes you're exactly right. When legislation is passed, it's then the rulemaking actually happens. And there's a lot of things that can kind of that may meet the intent of the legislation, but may go above and beyond or not, or kind of get away from what the legislature actually was trying to do. So, but I think working together with OSBA and COSA, I think we can certainly have some of those conversations. More people that don't comply with the Division 22 standard, I think will help with the revision of that.
Because you have, there's just a plan in play for meeting it,
Yeah.
not necessarily reasons why. Do you get into the granular of that?
No, but I mean, we will have a plan in place, but also if there's two tracks, we'll also work with legislatures and say, have some flexibility with that. Say, you know, we have them in, like I say, 90% of the restrooms and single-use restrooms, so.
Are you including some of facility conversations? Because some of it is the buildings in Oregon being able to handle the misuse of products being available in every restroom. So having a facility conversation input as well.
It's definitely all the time. So that's another reason. And just, we didn't get a chance to have those conversations when the law was enacted and then the rulemaking was happening. And so I think now could be a good time to have that conversation, especially when people are reporting to the state. So.
And at the same time, do we not also have to have sanitary disposal for those
Mhm.
items as
Yeah.
well? And all?
And there's grants available for that as well too. So that. Good question. Thank you.
Any other questions on any of the standards? Okay, do we have any public who wishes to comment on Vision 22?
There's no one online.
No one online, anyone in person? Okay. No action required on our part, correct? So, okay, the Division 22 hearing is closed. We will reopen the regular meeting. And the next item on the agenda is to hear from our students. Welcome, all of you. Thanks for joining us today. I'd like to just find out which class this is and who the teacher is. So.
Leadership.
Oh, it's leadership.
Oh,
Okay,
awesome.
awesome.
Yes,
Well, welcome.
Lisa Robbins, fourth period leadership.
Cool. Hi, Lisa.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I thought maybe we'd start with introductions of the board, and then we had the privilege of getting your questions ahead of time. They're great questions. Thank you for submitting those. Will you all be taking turns asking one at a time? Okay, great. And I'll just tell you, just having a look at them ahead of time, they're awesome. Not all the questions may be answered by the board. There might be a couple that will lean on staff to help us with. And there's a couple questions, great questions about how we make decisions on your behalf. And honestly, I would love to hear from some of you on a few of those. And I think my colleagues would agree. So we'll make it fine. So if you're asking the question, don't feel like if we turn it back on you and have a question for you, that you have to be the only one who can answer it. So I don't want to scare anybody. So, okay, great. We'll start over here and introduce the board first.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Weathers. I've been on the board since 2021. I have 2 kids in the district as of now and 1 graduate.
Buenos dias, Nancy Castillo McKinnis, ella, she, her. And I'm really delighted to get to have an opportunity to connect with you all. And I have been on the board since 2020. And all 3 of my kids have gone through the Phoenix Mountain School District. I currently have 1 still here. And I'm just really excited that I get to be of service to you all.
Good morning, Michael Campbell. I've been on the board for 4.5 years. I have a 2nd grader at Orchard Hill. And I have a 3-year-old who will be terrorizing her kindergarten teacher in a couple of years. So it's good to see you all. Polly?
I'm Polly Fairmont. I am coming up on 4 years. Election year is next year for me. I was born and raised in Talent. I went through the Phoenix Talent School District. I have 2 daughters that graduated here as well. One teaches here at the high school in business. And I love this place, let me tell you.
I'm Dawn Watson. I've been on the board since 2013 for a little bit. And I have 2 kids that went all the way from kindergarten to graduation, and I love this district, and I'm involved in a lot of things statewide now because I decided that it's not just local, it's statewide and nationwide that we need to concentrate on too.
Hi, I'm Sarah Crawford. I've been on the school board since 2016, and I have 3 students who graduated from the district, and my husband coaches baseball. So always love meeting you guys and seeing you at your events. And thanks for being here today.
My name is Brent Berry. I'm your superintendent. These are my bosses. We also have one school board member, Rick Nagel, who's not able to attend this morning, who's been on the board for 23 plus years.
Yeah.
This is my 22nd year in the district and going on my 8th year as superintendent. Love this district. Love that the board still provides this time for students during the day meeting to hear from our kids. So appreciate you being there. Denise is my assistant, also assistant to the board, who takes care of us all, and just really grateful for her. Joe Zavala, I'll introduce too, is our media relations specialist who does our social media. And if you've seen over the last few years, we have definitely increased our presence on sharing all the great things that are going on. So.
All right. And thank you for mentioning Rick too. I was gonna mention that. Yeah, he's a fantastic board member and been with us a long time. Okay, so why don't we go to your questions? Do you have it all figured out? Who's asking them in what order and all that good stuff? Okay, we're starting here. If you could please just introduce yourself and share your
Good
question.
morning, everyone. My name is Valeria. I'm a senior here at PHS. First question, kind of starting off for everyone to follow along. How does the school board promote diversity within our schools?
And how are we gonna do this with answers and questions?
Oh, we always just that thing. We all love to talk.
Yeah.
To listen more, but we all also.
I
really
try to
love
listen
talk.
more,
Yeah.
So Sarah, do you want to answer that?
Well, one of the things that I love recently is that Phoenix Town School District has made a concentrated effort to increase our staff, our teachers and staff from different backgrounds. And one of the ways that we did that was, I'm gonna point out Tiffany Lambert, and took a team to some different hiring fairs around the state to really promote Phoenix Town School District and try to attract more talent that's culturally diverse in our district. And I think that we have seen some increase in that. And so that's one of the ways, is really looking at our student population and trying to have staff and teachers that look like that. Another way that we do that is with curriculum, and Tiffany also shepherds a team. Tiffany shepherds a team that gets different input from community, students, teachers, staff in the buildings when the board adopts the curriculum that the state recommends, and we have a list that we can choose from. And so there's a team and a rubric that that team looks at, and there's some non-negotiables in that, and some of that is that it's available, it's culturally relevant, it's available in Spanish, it's available online. She can speak more intelligently at the entire list of the rubric, but really looking at culturally responsive and inclusive, some of the pictures, so that you'll see as you're coming through the district and learning, you'll start to see people who look like you in the photos and in the illustrations in the curriculum. So those are two ways that I would say that the board is looking at or instructing staff to diversify.
Yeah, that I would add to what Sarah shared, and I think this is a good opportunity to talk about what our role is. And you know, some of the questions you asked are good questions that may not necessarily be what the board does, because the board is not running the district day to day. We're in charge of setting policy. We allocate resources, so money and people basically, to make sure the school district can run. And we advocate for the district and for public education as a whole, locally, regionally, and nationally. And so one of the ways the board champions equity is through policy. And we have an equity policy that we passed within the last few years. We had a committee that came together to help form that policy. There's other various things that happen throughout the state or through state programs also that help shepherd that as well. And then it's also through accountability. And one of the ways that's important for a school board to make sure that the district is a place where all students can be successful is how are our students doing? And so we really look at our data, and we look at not just how is one group of students doing, but how are all of our students doing from all the various backgrounds that you all come from. And one of the things I'm really proud of is our graduation rate amongst all of the various student groups that we have. And there are a lot of things that we have a lot of work to do still when it comes to reading and math and things like that. But the board really champions equity through setting good policies and by holding ourselves accountable that all of our students are able to be successful.
And I'll add that we're also learning. There's been, I think that when we're trying to increase our awareness, there's a time period, and sometimes that time period can be like a little bit uncomfortable. We don't know what we don't know. And if we don't have people sharing information with us about how we can be more thoughtful and inclusive and diverse and just be very intentional, sometimes we can miss those opportunities. So I love that we do have as of recently, an EDI committee, and there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of reparation that still needs to be done. There's a lot of healing, there's a lot of learning and growth. So we're excited to continue to embark in those opportunities. And we also want to be representative of the population that we get to serve. Because while we do get to make a lot of decisions, those decisions should be based on really how do we really become of service to you all. So I'm excited that we have our first, where's Erika Ochoa? There you are. Estás atrás, mi amor, I can't see you. I love that we have an administrator here who is Latina. I am really proud that our community elected a school board member who is diverse. I'm like the first Latina on this board, and this school has been pretty diverse for a long time. So we need people in the right places that can really champion families, that can really champion students. So I again, there's a lot. We're not perfect by any means, but I love that we get to grow and figure things out alongside with you.
I think I want to say that I'm grateful for Nancy on our board. Without her, she opens our eyes to many things that we don't see, and I'm grateful for her. And if you feel a passion for this topic, Kelly, who's sitting right back there, would be someone who you should reach out to. I want to encourage you that if you do feel passionate about this and you want to see how you can make a difference here at the high school, reach out to her and see what you can do to help with that.
Just to jump in as well, I had this conversation with our students who are applying to be student board reps, but we're also looking for our representatives for our EDI committee that Kelly runs, and we're looking for high school students. So if that is something that you're interested in, and we'd love to chat with you about that. You can come see me today in the afternoon, and I'll jot your name down and get you some more information about that as well. So just a little plug for that.
It's important that you have a voice. That's how I feel about it, is that you need to speak up and say what you feel. And we're here to hear that as well, or direct you to those.
And we're also figuring out how to do that, right? Because sometimes like we might make a statement, but we haven't figured out like, what does that actually look like? So if you feel more comfortable connecting with somebody, like first connect with someone that you feel really comfortable with, because then that person can connect you to the right person, right? So I love that Ms. Cross just offered, like, come and talk to me, because she knows that pathway. So we don't have to do any of this alone. Actually, we can't do this alone. Because when we do things alone, we miss a lot of opportunities to bring other people along. So great question.
Thank you so much. Okay, next question.
I'm a senior here at PHS. My name is Salim McQueen. My question is, what is being done for students facing inequality in the school district?
I love that question, and I almost want to ask you, what do you think is being done? Because I think this is an opportunity for us to learn.
I definitely do think there's growth in my 4 years here in terms of helping kids of all different diversities and backgrounds. But I want to know from your guys' point of view, like what do you guys see and what do you guys think is being done?
So I can speak to a few things that have just come top of mind, and then maybe you all can chime in, but so some things that I'm personally aware of. We've taken up a big project to look at our policies. We have hundreds of policies, and we have rewritten and passed and revised those over the last few years. It's been a big deal, and some of those include policies that say this is a place where all people are welcome, and that we do not tolerate people treating people in a harmful way because of the color of their skin or because of their background or their sexual orientation or whatever it is. We have engaged in extensive training of our staff. Some of us have, and most of us have participated in that as well, to learn, you know, how to recognize bias in the school district, how to interrupt racism. Some of us are on our own personal journeys as far as that goes. The other thing, did you all know that you have a form you could fill out if you experience or witness a bias incident? I'm seeing a lot of head nods. That's good to know. It starts with you as well. Learning how to recognize when something's not okay, and being able to ideally in a calm way interrupt it yourself, but at the very least let us know, let the staff know, so that some healing can happen and some learning can happen and growth can happen amongst the student population. So those are just a few things that come to mind, and I'm glad to hear from your perspective that you feel like there's growth there. And I would say we all recognize there's always room to grow in that area. Anything else that I missed? Brent? Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Good question.
Hi, I'm May Woodward. I'm a senior. A question I have that kind of goes along with the policies that Michael was talking about. How do you determine if and ensure that new policies are in best interests of us.
I'm being a little negative today. First of all, I'll just say, sorry, I like to be positive, but first of all, some of the policies that are passed down to us are passed down by the state and we have to do the policy no matter what, and all of them are. We can do some of our own policies, like the equity policy we chose, and there's some, but most of them are passed down from the state. Most of them we have to say word for word. Once in a while, there's small language we can change, but most of the time we can't. So the answer is on policies, we can't. What we can change is before it becomes a policy to advocate with our state and local legislators. We do a lot. Sarah and I do we are going to a legislative thing regional at the end of the month, and then we usually have the legislators come to the school beginning of the year so we can get on track so that we can help advocate for the laws that are going to be the policy so that we can say that won't work for our students or this would be better for our students. And so it's actually before the policy comes, hopefully, is where we can advocate the most. Nancy, did you want to add?
No, I think you're right on. Policies are really interesting because while they are mandated by the state and we adopt them, our hope is also to do some of like that preventative work, like ahead of the time that the policy is done, which we're really incredibly fortunate here in our Southern Oregon region. We have Sarah and Dawn who are very, very, very involved. So a lot of school districts don't have that advocacy, and like everything, if you don't have representation, our voices might get left out. So I just want to give a shout out to both Sarah and Dawn because they are consistently figuring out what's coming, informing us, and then figuring out ways for us to get ahead of the final decision on any sort of policy, or at least informing us so we can make better decisions, informed decisions. So again, we're really, really fortunate to have them. And it's interesting because we almost never realize what is happening behind the scenes. But we're very fortunate, and they're really good at listening too. So it's not just about our school district, but they work with other local school districts to figure out what is the best way to support our students.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say too, also, we have student representatives to the board,
Yeah.
so, and we're still learning, so we actually switched our agendas to actually, when we do talk about policies, to have that information and discussion piece of the policy up in the agenda, because oftentimes our teams and our students are released early, and so when we're having those discussions at the end, there's not student input, so we've revised our agenda to get more input from our student reps, so.
Yeah, I don't know if you all know, but we are interviewing 7 candidates today who are hoping to become student reps to the board. And over time, we've really worked on strengthening what that role looks like and what their responsibility is to you to represent your interests as students before the board. Because there are some things that we have autonomy to decide. And I would say just to kind of add just one little thing to that as well, is this board focuses on what is supported by evidence. So we're not just going to pass something that doesn't have some evidence behind it on how it's beneficial to students. Maybe it's a good time to talk about cell phones. The board has not passed a cell phone policy. That happened at the building level. But that decision was made looking at the impact of the interruption and the notifications and the distractions that cell phones cause throughout the day. And I'm curious what you all think of it, but I've heard good things. I've heard that, it's enriched conversations you all are having in passing periods. It's helped you focus and concentrate better on the whole in class. And I think that's a good example, right? So we wouldn't just do that without having some evidence to support why a decision would be made like that. So, but I think really incorporating your voice, having representatives for the board and having conversations like this is a big way to that.
And we hope that you do talk to whomever gets elected to be the student representative, because they're representing you. So my hope is that there is that connection, because again, none of us can do this on our own. They can't do this on their own, so they need your support.
Can I piggyback on that? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There is legislation coming up on a cell phone use bill that will be hitting the ground probably beginning of the year. So if you do have feedback you want to give to your student reps or us, or whoever, and pass it along, please do. Right now, OSBA is taking the position of please let the districts make up their own policies, but I don't know if that's going to pass, but that's the position that I'm currently advocating for. And one of the main person is in our area, so we'll be working to make sure it's something best for students. And I think she wants it best for students as well. But I wanted you to know it's another example of how legislative works.
And OSBA is the Oregon
Thank
School
you,
Board
Nancy.
Association.
Thank you,
We
Nancy.
love to use acronyms.
I just want to mention too, that it's not every board has student reps to the board. It's
No.
not, I mean, I think it's more unusual than I think it's a norm. Now it's getting more, student boards are starting to open that door for student voice, but this board has been, having student reps for many, many years.
And we're one of the few that have daytime meetings for their students.
Yeah. So,
And one of the few that go from school to school, when there's multiple locations.
Thank you for the question. Next one.
My name is Abigail Corona. I'm a junior, and my question for you guys is, how does the board plan to support and expand the arts and music program in the future?
Sarah has feelings about that.
Michael has feelings about it too. So, one of the ways recently, I don't know if you are aware of this, but in the budget last year, or the year before, the district invested $80,000 in new musical instruments that are used district-wide. And so, if any of you have been in bands, you may have seen, that it was a long time coming, for those. And, so the district is taking measures to do that and now, hiring staff and bringing band to the elementary level. So, and now music teachers at, serving elementary students as well. So one of the things that, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, how about choir too, because.
I know, yeah, 100%. Preach, sister. So, yes, so we had, after the fire, it was really looked at with the size of the student demographic, and there was 11 students signed up for choir at the high school level. And just looking at how we could staff and provide a robust program for all of the things that were wanted or needed, it just at that time didn't make sense. And so that's a conversation that happens, I think, every year. Brent and the team of arts teachers looks at the plan, and we've talked about creating kind of a long range art and music program so that we can be strategic in how we're investing those funds from year to year, so that we're not just, oh, we think we need this now, and oh, we think we need this now, and oh, we want this now. Oh, well, oh, we want this now, and oh, we want this now. So we can be a little bit more strategic in building those programs, because we recognize that music is valuable in so many ways, and really is another one of those programs that makes kids want to come to school and create connection for all of us. We love going to those things. So I would say, their conversations are still happening, and it's input from students saying, we want this, and starting to see as our student population increases coming back from the fire, we have to look at how we're allocating all of those resources. So Mr. Berry could speak more intelligently about how it would, but yes, it's conversations that are happening.
Well, first of all, I thought that was intelligent.
Yes.
I thought it was very good. You did set the stage very well. The reason we had 11 students interested is because in 2009, this board had to make a really tough decision, cutting millions of dollars, and elementary music was eliminated at that time. That was 15 years ago. You guys probably don't even remember any elementary music other than some artists in residence type stuff, maybe the drums if you were at Orchard Hill, some other things. But we have invested in elementary music programs now for the last 2 years, maybe going on 3 years, to have music programs in all 3 elementaries for all of our kids. We are seeing that increase our numbers in instrumental and band at the middle school. Vocals are on its way. It's probably not in time for some of you seniors, obviously, or underclassmen maybe, but we do have this conversation, and this question comes up every year. I will tell you, the reason we have a culinary arts program is because students sat right where you were sitting 8-10 years ago to have they're interested in culinary arts, and that came to fruition because the board continued to hear that year after year, and there was tremendous interest as well. So continue to bring up that conversation, and we're hopeful that we'll have a robust musical arts program soon.
I believe it was just in the last couple of years that I'm not sure about Orchard Hill, but I know Phoenix Elementary and Talent Elementary started their choir program just in the last couple of years. It still hasn't hit Talent Middle School or the high school yet. It's barely started there.
It really paints a picture on when tough decisions need to be made and things are cut. It takes decades for them to come back. That's why funding for public education is vital.
Could choir be a club if you could find someone to lead it? I'm wondering about that. Like, I was in choir at PHS. There were probably 75 people in 3 different classes. It was huge in the 80s, a while ago. But I feel like that could be something maybe starting as a club, as a grassroots thing that students could do. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, super comment on that. It's having a club would be cool, and I know they tried to start a choir club last year, but it didn't go so well because it's just such a short amount of time. All we have is lunch for clubs, and after school, though, people are already participating in different activities. So it's just so much easier and so much, you want to be more involved when it's in your class schedule and you have time to commit and learn and take time to learn what you need to know for this, because it's a big activity and it is like, it's really meaningful. So you don't want to just cut it short. Yeah.
Abby, thank you so much for that insight, right? Sometimes we're like, this might work, but unless we have this information, love it. Muchas gracias.
The other thing is, go ahead. No.
Because if we did clubs, we would need some sort of like instructor is knowledgeable in choir, because all of the clubs, for the most part, the clubs are like student run.
Yeah.
And if you just have a student teaching other students how the student thinks that they should sing.
More like karaoke, is that what you're saying?
What's that club? Karaoke.
It takes student interest. It takes a board committed to saying we are gonna do this. It takes funding to make it happen. And I think we can get there. It's a point of personal privilege. I'm a musician, I'm a singer. I still sing today because of my experience in high school. And it pains me that we don't have a choir here at PHS. It pains me. And Mr. Berry hears about it often. One of the things we found out, we didn't gauge your interest in it last year. That's a real miss. We need to make sure that when you're selecting, those of you who are juniors and below, when you're selecting classes next year, we're asking you, are you interested in these classes, even if we don't have them yet? So I'm sure that's something that's gonna happen this year. But this is a great example of it's just in this group alone, it sounds like there's interest. This is where working with your student reps, talking amongst yourselves as a leadership class, this is where you have an opportunity to impact change as well. let's find out what the interest is, and this district, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. If we can work together, so. Yeah, I'm glad this question was asked because it hurts me as a board member to be on a board for a school district that doesn't have a choir, so, yes. Okay, off my soapbox, preaching to the choir, I think, okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jose Rodriguez. I'm a sophomore here at PHS. And my question is, how does the school board address the issue of student stress and work overload?
I want to say we have an amazing partner in the building with La Clinica that's available to you if you need counseling or if you need some help, from a professional for that reason. I'm really proud that we have them as a partner in our school district.
I have a comment about that. It would be cool if the promotion for that was more out there, because I feel like no students really know about that opportunity.
Okay.
I barely know about that opportunity. There's barely any information telling us, like, if you need an actual counselor, if you would like this, please talk to the office or we have these available for you, because a lot of people don't because of money stress, or they don't have those opportunities, which would be really nice to give a voice out to all the students. Thank you.
I love that there was multiple head shakes, like, yeah, we don't know about this.
Do you want me to comment a little bit about building
Yes,
around
yes.
this? So thanks for asking this question. I think one of the other things, again, this isn't like a board situation, but is more of a building led situation. So our counseling crew, so like Ms. Mendoza, Ms. Carlson, Ms. Ingerson, and Mr. Ruiz are taking place in some training, started last year and will go into the next couple of years of how they're ensuring that there is mental health supports and stress supports for all students, and then doing what we call tiering after that. Like, if what's available to everybody isn't enough, how can we take the next set of needs and address those, and then further need and address those? And so those are situations that we're talking through all the time. We like to say that our first point of contact is your assigned counselor, and then they can help get you next level support if you need that, or if someone you know needs that. So those are some things that we're doing in the building, just so you guys get an answer about like the here and now, how that's working. But we can definitely do a better job of explaining what that looks like for you all moving forward. I just wanted to make sure that was addressed locally.
And I'll just say something that while were you here while Mr. Berry was going through the Division 22 standards? Some of you. So what Ms. Cross was talking about is another acronym, right? MT, multi-tier systems of support. That is now a Division 22 standard. So one of those things that's in there is building this program to support students at that level. And that's one of the things that you just saw the board get a report and have a public meeting.
And so giving our staff tools in those trainings to be able to speak confidently and able to interrupt. I mean, we've really worked on and are trying to continue to train staff on interrupting those situations in the moment and not being afraid, because that's all people are waiting for and all kids are waiting for is somebody to interrupt that and know that somebody's listening and caring. And we'll continue to do that. We still have work to do in that, because I'm not naive enough to think that that still doesn't happen. I would hope adults in here and adults that we have and employed interrupt that right away and say, that's not okay. That's not what happens in PGS Rising. So, but we still have some work to do.
How is like word of mouth enough to know if someone is mistreating another person? Like if they tell you, like, what if they were lying just to get someone in trouble? Like, how would you tell the difference?
Would you like to?
Yeah.
I'm sure you deal with this from time to time.
Yes, this is more building oriented and less like board member oriented, but essentially what happens is just like Superintendent Berry was saying, we have training throughout the year for our staff so that they can identify those different instances. We also actually just on October 11th, PHS staff was trained more explicitly around bias incidents and what our process is around that. Ms. Ochoa, who's over here, is one of the administrators who mainly focuses on ensuring like safety around like student management. And so she's making sure that she's investigating every single claim, and we have board policy that tells us how we need to do that. and verifying that those things are true or not true, and kind of how we, process those things. Also, on campus, student managers and campus monitors, so like Mr. Redding, Mr. Velazquez, Ms. Garcia, and Ms. Ochoa are kind of like the crew who are in charge of making sure that that's happening according to board policy and making sure that we're just following all leads.
What time does the class end today? 11.
In like 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes, okay. I think we have time for one more question. We're back on? Okay, great. Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Hi, my name is Ava. I'm a junior here at PHS, and my question is, how does the school board ensure that all students have access to the necessary textbooks and technology that are needed?
I think we kind of answered that, talking about Tiffany and her role and making sure that curriculum we adopt has all those elements involved. I don't know what else.
It's investing, yeah, it's investing in,
Yeah.
making sure that we have resources. You all have access to a Chromebook, correct? Yeah, so it's making sure that, it's amazing to me, I have friends who have, kids in other districts in our valley, and they rely on students using their own devices, and we're very conscious of not every student may have their own device, and that's why we work hard to make sure we can provide it for you. So it's an important question, and it's something that we take very seriously to not only do we have the way in which you can access it, but are there multiple ways to access materials as well? Yeah.
I'm Skylar. I have a follow-up question to that.
Please.
I'm a graduation coach, so I deal with students who maybe are not able to get work done, and sometimes the root of the problem is they don't have internet access in their own home. Do we have a district policy regarding that, or what we do and how we support students who don't have the access at home? Whether it be because of financial reasons, or maybe they don't have a stable home that they're in every day. I just want to know what the process was for that.
Yeah, would you all like to speak to that? And Kaylin or Tiffany?
I can include that most of our curriculum is able to be downloaded while you're on district or school access. So like during lunches or after school, downloading those activities. If you work at home, then once you get back to school on the Chromebook, it should be able to sync with that. And our Google can do Google offline as well. So there's that policy. Our internet runs, we've often had students like come in the parking lot sometimes, as well as the public library, to get internet access as well. And having that time after school, I know there's sometimes people who stay in the commons area a little bit to access internet. But it has been, an issue we faced during the pandemic. At that time, we had hotspots that we got with a grant that we could send home with students as needed. Some issues that come about that are filtering of the internet, as well as the added expense where they're about $30 a month for each device that goes out. That's not continuing to be funded because we lost our federal funds during the pandemic. They're just holding with the pandemic. So in some cases, we've had hotspots. For students that are experiencing houselessness and are identified as qualifying for McKinney-Vento, we can provide some of those services. But for others, it's just on a case-to-case basis and making sure that they get the curriculum they need at home, and then it uploads when they come back to school. And if there's any support that's needed for that, we can help with that.
Good question. We have 1 minute, okay. We want to try to.
Did everyone get their we didn't really
How many
actually
questions?
follow up. Did everyone from previous questions even get everything that you wanted? Or did you have follow-up or something? Or did we answer the question in a way that
Made some sense.
made sense or,
Yeah, we try not
I
to be
realize-
politicians here.
realize that we didn't say, did that answer your question or did you have something else? So I do appreciate that you guys continue to ask questions, but I did also want to follow up and make sure that you got what you needed.
if there are questions that you have that you feel like are like burning for you, I can make sure that they get to the board.
That would be great. And pay attention to whomever is selected to be your student reps. Because I think that's gonna be a good conduit for you all. And I'm so grateful for all of you for coming today and for your enthusiasm and interest in learning about what's going on with the board. It really is about serving you. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Say thank you, Lisa Robin, for doing all you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Skylar.
Thank
Oh. There's no way. I don't think it's there because we're having lunch today. So,
In 5 minutes.
all right, centric positive. Who'd like to start? Starting with, normally Miss Cross would start.
Yeah. Sorry, is it my turn?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Do I need to have a microphone? Would you like me to stand?
You can sit right there.
Yeah.
I can sit right here?
Yeah.
Wait, let me grab my notes.
Okay, grab your notes.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Keelan Cross, proud principal of Pirate Ship. Lots of really great things going on. I first wanted to just thank Lisa Robin and Skylar Glines for preparing the class to come today. Lots of really thoughtful questions, and this group of students is the group that gets a lot of questions from other students. And so I'm really thankful for them. Just wanted to give them a shout out. Additionally, I wanted to just have you turn and look at our wonderful applicants for the student board rep positions. Wonderful young people here who are eager to advocate for their student body and for the district as a whole. And so I'm excited for you guys to get to know them. We've also talked a little bit about the EDI committee as mentioned before. And so I just wanted you guys to know that we're thankful to have so many candidates, and we're looking at other leadership opportunities for them as well.
Great.
Last but certainly not least, I actually wanted to give a shout out to our IT department. As we've mentioned, we have a new cell phone policy. And with that, there comes some bumps in the road for students who might want to listen to music or be able to use their phones in a capacity that isn't necessarily social media or texting. And Alan has worked, put in a lot of hours to look into a music platform so that our students can still put in some earbuds and focus on some work. And so we actually recently purchased a Pandora Cloud where our students have access to music 24/7 and where they won't need their cell phones. And so we're slowly rolling that out. The other really great thing about it is that we're going to be able to make our own ads within that. And so we're excited to partner with some classes to make those things happen. And so that might be new information for my students in the back.
They were excited about it.
Yes, I can hear them. 1 second. So I just wanted to let you know about that and just thank you, especially to Alan, who's always willing to problem solve when I come up with creative little issues. So that's all for PHS right now. Thank you.
Good morning, good evening this time. Before I'm Casey Olmstead, principal at Talent Middle School. I want to start my positives with just the students and the questions that they ask. And I think sometimes there can be a lot of bleak and negative news on just lots of things, and like the hope that they give and just the questions that they ask and the leaders that they are. Gives me hope. One thing I wanted to share, on October 11th, we did a thing with our staff and watched this video, and there's a quote in the video that says, "Every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story." And that I've seen the video before in the past, and it's just something that sticks with me, just the reality of we're gonna have an impact either way. And I think we have a choice in what impact that's going to be. And so I just wanted to celebrate 3 staff members. We have so many in our building, but Jessica Morga, our attendance manager, Sue Berrigan, our new bilingual IA, and Kurt Dieter, our ELA social studies teachers. They are just students that I've heard from families and students that if I need someone to talk to, their name comes up. And I think that reality of, and it was brought up here of like when kids don't know who to go to, that hurts my heart. There's like that piece of it, but then all just, that's the piece I think that we need to fill the gaps. And then last but not least, we are naming our bulldog tomorrow. Kids have been voting, it's a big day, big day. So that will be going down tomorrow.
Is there a certain list that you're coming?
There are 6
Oh.
names that
Oh.
kids have been voting on.
Please let
So,
us know.
I will. Tomorrow at our first assembly of the year, kids are pumped about that. We will be unveiling the bulldog. So
Nice.
cool.
What are the names they're voting on? You know them?
Yeah, when we get there. So we have, if I'm at Allison, you might need to help me on this one too. We have Murphy, we have Brutus, we have, Polly, Jose, Madeline, we'll see. Number 6, I can't see the other 2. I said Brutus. I know, I can look it up.
I like Murphy.
Polly, the bulldog?
See what happens.
Please, I hope Polly doesn't win.
Yeah. We'll find out tomorrow.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Casey.
Wow. Cool.
No, Rebecca.
Probably IE.
No, Rebecca.
Yes, don't spell it wrong.
I will say the bulldog thing is naming is kind of funny. Not many elementary kids know Rocky Balboa, but our little hawk was named Hockey Balboa.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's
That was
fun.
probably relevant in the 80s.
You don't know much about it, but that's okay.
More than that decade.
Kent Fuller, principal at Orchard Hill. Last Friday, the in-service day was outstanding, and I wanted to publicly thank Cynthia Perez. She led RJ training for our classified staff. And also Tara Jones is our librarian at Orchard Hill. She starts every class with a community building circle. And a lot of people think that RJ is about, what happens when there's some harm done. 80% of that work is about building strong communities so that harm can kind of have some prevention there. So I wanted to thank those 2 staff members. Also some good news about attendance. Our attendance right now is at 75% regular attenders. Last year at this time, it was about 65%. So it's up a bit. So I'm proud of that. I want to publicly thank Javier. Jen Dotson is a 2nd grade teacher and Jamie Cross, a 1st grade teacher. Last week, some consultants were in the district to model some reading lessons, and Jen and Jamie Cross hosted them. And it's not always easy to kind of give up your classroom and it's pretty vulnerable, but I admire their constant pursuit of continuous improvement. And thanks, Javier, for arranging that. Lastly, last year, some of you may remember, we brought some 5th graders down to the high school to work in the shop and in the art room. This year, I want to thank Angelica Mendoza and Kaylin and Susie McShee from Sidexo. We're coming down next Friday, the 25th. Angelica is going to work with some students and help our students learn about Dia de los Muertos and to set up some exhibition up at Orchard Hill to just increase our focus on some diversity. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Nice.
Morning, everybody. I'm Shanna Shai, principal at Phoenix Elementary. Just so you know, our mascot, his name is Junior. He's a pirate, the junior pirate. That's not Junior. In case you were wondering.
I am very curious now.
I just wanted to also recognize that, when we have in-service days, it is, that comes at a cost. Kids aren't in school that day. But the reward of having time to really focus in on new learning, I just want to applaud just our teams for making that time meaningful and valuable. So Jamar Boyd, she's our coach, our math instructional implementation coach. And so she worked with iReady to really create some meaningful planning and preparation in the area of mathematics. So I just want to publicly recognize her for spending 3 hours with our K2 team and our 3, 4, 5 team to really ensure that we pay attention to what we can do to keep increasing our academic progress with mathematics. And then this is just more of a local thing. It is Book Fair Week at PES, and I didn't know book fairs were such a big thing, but families love them, kids love them. And I just want to give a shout out to Christy Dixon, our librarian and media specialist. She did a lot of work to really create that as a special, meaningful week in our library and to ensure that every single kid walks away with something. So to just create an equitable lens to make sure that there's everybody gets an opportunity to get something from the book fair. So that's it from Township.
Thank you.
Is it a ship or is it? It's a teeny tiny ship.
Sorry. Good morning, everybody. Heather Lowe from Talent Elementary. It's nice to see everybody. Nice to see you guys back there especially. So lots of fun stuff and kind of following up on Kent and Shauna's talk about in-service. I just want to publicly thank Corinne Calhoun. She's our literacy specialist this year and coach. And she's working with Javier and us principals, but really coordinating with our ORTII project and making sure that we really are grounded in the science of reading. And so she did an amazing job organizing. So I want to recognize her. I do also want to recognize Ryan Watts. I don't know if you saw on the Facebook feed, but he reached, he's a grad, last year grad. And, he went through Talent Elementary and his brothers as well in Talent Middle School in here. But he reached out to me. He was my first grade class. And he's like, Miss Lowe, I built this project. It's called a Blessing Box in construction last year, and I'd love to donate it to school. So he showed up yesterday and donated that. And he brought up all the goods that were in there. I was like, oh my gosh, what a sweetheart. And it just is a testament to the work we do in our district and the kids that we get to serve. And it just made me so proud of him and of our school district that he thought of us, and then I did want to invite you to two fun things coming up. First, we have great partnership, as you guys know, with Rogue Valley Farm to School. And they secured a grant to host families for a meal at Henley Farms on October 27th. So there's going to be 2 sessions. And so all of the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade students in our district are invited and their families. And so that's all rolling out. So there's one session, 10 to 12, or there's another one, 12:30 to 2:30. So if you're interested, I can help coordinate that just to get you signed up. They know to prepare for you, but that's in coordination with Tri Family Farms, which has always been supportive of our district and what we're trying to do with wellness. And then last but not least, I don't think we have a board meeting before Halloween. So I just wanted to invite you to our annual trunk or treat event at Talent Elementary, which is on Halloween at 1 o'clock. And it's always pretty fun. Like our families go all out and definitely do the deal. It's really fun. So you're definitely invited to all of that. And I remember the time, Holly. Thank you. Just let me know if you do want to go to the lunch thing.
Morning, board.
Morning.
Need to get this a little closer. It is still morning, barely. Apologize for you guys having to wait so long to hear from me. I know you're used to it right up front. So just a couple things quickly from PTRA. We're gonna be heading to the pumpkin patch at Pheasant Field Farms next Friday. That's the 25th at 10:45. This is a good tradition for us, stretches back to the first year of PTRA. We have K through 8th graders come along with all their family. It's a really good time. So definitely one of the highlights of the year for us. And then finally, I want to thank several of the special education folks in our district who help us out. We don't have any dedicated special ed staff. So anytime we need 504s, IEPs, service time, we have folks who step up to fill in the gaps there. So definitely want to thank in particular Nathan Clinton and Tara Dean over at TMS. They've been great. Along with Erica Casarati at Orchard Hill and Allison Bailey at PES. They've done a lot of work for us and continue to do so. Just know that they have a very busy schedule. They have a lot of things to do, but they always make time for us. So I appreciate that. That's it from PTRA. Thank you.
Good almost afternoon, board, Amy Hans, food service. And I just want to thank Julia Longo for actually coming to our first advisory menu committee. We had 17 people sign up, but she was our one participant, so she gets a huge shout out because we really kind of put her on the spot, asking all the questions. But she gave us a lot of great advice, and it's one of hopefully many events. So I also need to thank Michelle Heinstar from Sodexo, who's our regional marketing specialist, for really helping me get this menu committee together. And we'll be seeing her throughout the year come in, hopefully doing some things with the kids and, you know, just trying to get more involvement in this committee. I think we plan to have some action items after them, and I'm sure I'll be sharing that with all of you guys. And then I also have to thank Lydia Tolley, who's Sodexo food service manager or resource manager. Without her, I wouldn't be here today. So through some transition, I you know, have to call out that I really appreciate them letting me come. This is one of my favorite board meetings because I like hearing from them. So I'm really happy that I get to be here.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything from the board?
Yes, I would like to thank all of the principals. I know that we're celebrating you and I am consistently amazed and impressed and full of gratitude. Like there are so many meetings and evening events and some sort of club or sports, and you are all there. So thank you. Thank the families that get to support you to be here, because I also recognize that that's a huge sacrifice and an effort. And I am just so moved and yeah, just moved and motivated by your commitment and dedication to the families. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gracias. Muchas gracias. One last thing. There is a Dia de los Muertos event happening at PES. Woo! Thank you, Laura Millet. It's happening November 2nd from 4 to 6, and they are looking for volunteers November 1st. So if any of you want to help, please come. Laura Millet was so sweet and kind and just said, please make sure the board comes. This is a really beautiful event. And last year we didn't get to go because we had a board meeting, but the year before it was really, really, really impressive. And my hope is that they get a beautiful turnout. There's a lot of events that day. I love that our community is embracing this really beautiful tradition of Dia de los Muertos. And so you're invited, and if you can, show up and help.
Is it the first or the second?
The event is the second. The volunteer piece is, the setup is Friday, November 1st.
Okay.
Thank you for asking clarification.
Okay, thank you. I just would like to echo everything you said about our lovely administrators and say that we understand you have jobs to do and buildings to run. And we still have quite a bit to go here today. So if you need to go, it's totally understandable. Thank you for being here this morning. And please get some charcuterie on your way out.
Multiple plates because they did not bring bigger plates. My apologies.
So thank you all. Appreciate it very much. Next is citizens' comments. Do we have anybody online?
It doesn't look like it.
No? Okay, don't think we have anyone in person. Moving on, superintendent report.
Thank you, Chair Campbell. Just want to follow up. Last time I shared a contract proposal from Secure Check from Ernie Whiteman. I followed up with them. There was some negotiations-ish, but we decided to add to the scope, which I think the board has expressed interest in. We added the district office to that safety and security procedures. Also asked him, and this is with our conversation with Rebecca and Rick, about really looking at policies, the concealed weapon policy, seeing what is the trend around the state and the nation, and seeing what he recommends to the board, and also all of our emergency procedures documents and slide decks and trainings that we've done. So looking forward to getting him on board and official contract as soon as possible, and we will have that those reports hopefully by the end of January. Then we can start looking at if there's any budgeting needs, cameras, more facility upgrades, we can certainly do that. We still need a board member to volunteer to attend bargaining coming up, and the extra compensation evaluation meeting. That evaluation meeting, extra comp, will probably only be one meeting. The bargaining may be a little more.
We're talking about license.
Yeah, license. Yeah. So, we do have a pre-bargaining meeting starting January 7th to start setting some dates and getting going for the spring. Great. And this is just an FYI. I've asked John to get some information on get some estimates on what it would, cost to actually turf the rest of this field outside behind the, tennis courts, and maximizing the equipment and, that Knife River has there, because when we did that with the, football field and soccer field out here, it drastically reduced the cost because they were already staging that equipment here. So we'll probably have a number within the next week, and then we'll see, bring it back to the board if that's something. I think that could really maximize that, their use of that field space. So, and we have, it could be construction excise tax, it could be some leftover bond money, and so we'll share those options as well. Happy Bosses Day yesterday, so we just appreciate this board and leadership and how you serve our community, and appreciate the support for not only me, but also our whole team and our staff in our district. And this just FYI, let Michael know, but as a part of my role as SOU trustee, I facilitate academic and student affairs committee, and we start at noon over there. So I'll have to scoot out of here in a few minutes. So
Thank you.
but I'm hopeful we can get through my info discussion item, which shouldn't take long, but if we could maybe switch.
Yeah, I
2
was
and 3 with
I was
one.
gonna, yeah,
Okay.
we're
I'm
gonna
just
do,
gonna skip one and not do one.
okay, yeah, so we can do 2 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Rebecca. Second.
Okay, go ahead. I'll
Thank-
second.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Don. Any objections? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. So yeah, let's start with number 2, financial report.
Yeah, you don't have a necessarily a financial report in there, but I just want to share that we have our auditors this week doing all that work. Thank you, Michael. They wanted to interview the board chair and just really thank Yasmin and her team for all that document, all the information that is shared with the auditors. We've said many times, we have so many grants. When we apply for a grant, we tend to get them, which is nice, but that's also a lot of additional audits and oversight and checks and things of that nature. So really appreciate her and her team.
Awesome. Any questions? Okay, interdistrict transfer.
Yeah, this isn't a great report, I think. I think it's you know, we're a little upside down on this. We've got the kindergarten number is really, of the outgoing, is concerning. This is the first time we really haven't been really even or ahead of this game. The reason for this is there are hardships out there. And as you know, the board, only allows hardship criteria to, go out, and childcare is one of them. I will say that I think people are getting more informed about what qualifies for a hardship. And so if there is a denial, which happens, I mean, if it's not clear that it's a hardship, we'll deny it. And then if there's more information, or they just say, okay, yeah, we choose to be in your schools. If we have students that are just moving in but want to stay at their other school that doesn't meet a hardship, we typically ask them to meet with the principal, walk around the school, and oftentimes that helps. But that's our interdistrict report for this year. We're up in numbers overall, but we're a little bit behind on in and outs for this year. So.
Is there anything we need to talk about for the 9th grade coming in? It looks like all those slots were filled, and we talked about just being able to adjust those numbers. Is there?
Yeah, we can, and we could look at that if we even want a number on that, because there are, we're one of the only districts actually still that require a hardship to transfer to another district. Most other districts, it's if you request out, you request out. The more that happens, we could possibly increase those caps of letting them in. So it's a good question. That's all I had for that now.
Thank you. Yeah, I find the kindergarten and the 9th grade transfers interesting, and there's a disconnect somewhere because I know there's a lot of outreach that happens. And so I hope we can look at that. And the other thing that I noticed is just all of our transfers out are hardships because that's what we require, but we don't have a lot of transfers in that are hardships. So I just find the numbers interesting that it seems like people are finding ways to have hardships. And I'm not suggesting that they're making things up, but I just find it interesting that that ratio is off a lot between hardships coming in and, you know, that.
I would say that is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't, you know, it's a lot, 60 students difference. It's not just a little difference. And so I think that requires some additional study. So I hope we can work on it.
And I think we can definitely dig in and talking to Denise and Monique, who does that. Let's really kind of dig in and see if we can see some trends and see,
Yeah, what are the hardships specifically? Yeah, okay, great. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Good luck
thank
with
you
your
all.
meeting.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I'll just grab to head out, but thank you again.
Yeah.
Glad you're on that board.
Yes, yeah.
Touch base on legislature just to make sure they know.
Oh, I
Yes.
realized that was in the.
Yeah.
Oh,
make sure it's
yes, so just real quick, the items in the legislative OSBA update, those are all things, they came to us late, and so we didn't have time to put them on for action this time, right? So those will be taken up for action at our next meeting. And I'm,
No, we can't, because I believe you can't vote on it until the 15th. But
We
we have to
can't-
double check.
I
You
don't
can't
think we can
submit the vote.
submit it.
You can
Yeah.
vote on it, I just
Yeah.
can't submit it till you get to.
okay, you're the only,
Person running, yeah,
okay, good.
but the bylaws and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the bylaws
They
and the
aren't due
dues.
till the 15th, so.
Yeah.
As long as there's questions answered.
Yeah, great, okay, awesome. So take a look at those, let us know if you have any questions.
And I'd be willing to answer any questions since I was in deep discussion on every single item.
Okay. Awesome. Yes, so if you have questions about any of that, please reach out to Dawn and, yeah, we'll take those up. We are scheduled for a recess. I'm also would like to get our students out on time for lunch, and so.
What time is lunch?
I think it's 12:17. Is that right? 12:27.
Like a bio break for 7 minutes.
Can we take a 5-minute bio break?
And then have them, are they coming over?
Yeah, you guys can come over here now.
Yeah.
Come over and sit here.
So
It's
5
weird
minutes,
to have-
yeah.
Okay, we'll do a 5-minute recess back at 11:41. I think we will, so welcome back. Thank you all for your patience. We will interview everyone. You all have a presentation, right? You're gonna present, your prompt and, answer to the question. And then, how many minutes do we allot per student? Is it 2 or 3?
Three.
I was gonna say, like, maybe 3 to 5.
What did you tell students, what their time?
Yeah.
I didn't give them a time limit, I just
Okay.
told them that they would be presenting their like research and
Okay.
then that they would be answering the question around what keeps students, you and others involved in the school. And that's what we had printed on our applications. Do you guys want to see those? I have those for you.
The application?
Yeah.
Oh, we have,
We have
yeah, thank you.
But we
Okay.
don't have the second
We have
page.
Denise.
We don't have, do we?
You don't have.
We don't have the second page, no.
We
No,
don't.
let me provide.
Okay, thank you. So let's say 3 minutes. I would like to get you on to lunch. We may run into a scenario where the board is deliberating about our choice while you're at lunch, so we'll figure that out. But, we will be appointing, definitely 4 or possibly 4.
We need to discuss that.
Okay, so it's, I think our policy says 3 or 4. We had 4 last year. And then just to give you an idea of how we make our selection, after you all present, the board we will rank our choices in order. And that's what we use. So basically, you know, if you have a bunch of board members who rank you first, then that gives you more points, and it's a very democratic process. So we try to be very fair, and these are often very difficult. So I just want to tell you, We're so proud of all of you for applying. Thank you. The fact that you're interested in this is awesome. And no matter what happens and who is selected, you are all leaders in your school already. And I just want you to carry that with you and no matter what happens, know that does not change, whether you're a student rep or not. So with that, we will go in. Am I gonna go in the order of the applications here?
Well, what's on our drop down?
Yeah, we have, yeah, let me see.
You don't have
I don't know how you.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, please.
I would suggest, this is kind of, maybe one of the student reps that were on the last year, because they know the process. So
Okay.
you're not having someone new that doesn't know the process.
Sure.
Except Javier doesn't like that idea, but I was just maybe making it, I don't know.
I think that's
Okay, do I have a volunteer who would like to go first?
I go first.
Okay, all right.
We're standing here.
And please introduce yourself.
I love that, because I like to go first too.
My name is Shane Gordon, and I'm a senior here at PHS. And I'm going to be doing my presentation on the homecoming week, like our spirit week, and the homecoming dance. So the reason why I thought that this would be a good idea to do is because, sorry, it shows like a very diverse group of people, because like homecoming is one of the events that allows like every grade of students to go. So I just thought it'd be a very diverse group of people that I could interview. I interviewed people.
You got it. He's going.
Okay, I interviewed people on what they thought of the dance and how it could be improved. A majority of the people that I interviewed thought it like went overall pretty well, but there were some pros and cons that I got like feedback. Some highlights of the dance is that people really enjoyed the outside area that we had at the dance. There was like a bouncy house and like we sold snacks and like water and stuff. And then another highlight was everybody like felt safe because we had a lot of like volunteers of like staff and parents just like supervising, so that helped out a lot. Some just suggestions that people had. There was like problems with like the DJ, like he was set up on like the side of in the commons, like he was set up on the side rather than the front. So a lot of people like had suggestions that we should have him in the front just so everybody could hear better and see better. Along with the music choices, a lot of people didn't like how the songs were playing for super long because people would get like bored and then the energy goes down. So it's just not as fun for everybody. Yeah, if nobody knew the songs, then nobody would be dancing, therefore the energy is down. And then moving on to Spirit Week, I've been tracking the participation through not only leadership, but just doing interviews through various people. And the participation is overall like pretty high, but it's really inconsistent. But I think that as the year goes on, everybody will get more used to it and like there'll be overall more participation. But students have done a great job of promoting the events, like our social media committee and leadership, for example. And then the unique perspective that I bring to the table is that I've been a student athlete, but I recently got injured. So I got to see the perspective from not only student athletes, but also injured student athletes. And because I got injured, I have to move to online school. So I also have the perspective from online, like people that had to do online school. So they don't really like talk to like, besides like Miss, can't remember her name, but she is in the building with us. But besides her, they don't really talk to a lot of people that are at the school. So I just feel like getting them more involved would be good. Also, I have a few siblings that are in this district. I have two siblings that go to the middle school and one that goes to Orchard Hill. And then also one that will be going to Orchard Hill in the future. So just bringing the younger generation, also just like kind of what's interest for them, because eventually they will like be in like where we are. So just for their like interest. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
When did you start in the district?
I got here in third grade. I went to Orchard Hill until fifth grade, and then planned to go to Talent Middle School, but I moved around a lot growing up. So for sixth grade, I attended Eagle Point Middle School, and then I came back to the district, and I've been in the district since seventh grade to now. So like 9 years, and then for sixth grade, I wasn't here.
You don't have any control over that. I totally get it. It was more like,
Yeah.
I just wondered.
We're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. All right, thank you so much.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Good job. Get started off. I'm gonna go, I have an order here and you're just gonna have to deal with that. So Aubrey, you're next.
Do you want to tell who's on deck?
Sure, Aubrey's next and Javier is after her.
He made a list,
Okay.
and so I didn't know for that.
To them, sorry.
Yeah.
Will you give the whole list?
Sure, Javier, Reina, Rachel, pronounce your name for me, Edyn. Edyn, thank you. I don't want to screw it up. Maybe that was worse. And then, is it Elia?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, great.
Are you timing? You are.
Yeah, so try to keep it in 3 minutes if you can. Shane did a great job. Okay. Aubrey, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
If you want me to introduce my name and grade, I can, but I think you guys know me. I chose to do kind of a broader topic because I felt like choosing one event was really narrow compared to like all the things we go through in the year. So I chose spirit and after school events. And a lot of people said that they did try to follow the spirit themes, but they felt that they wanted their peers to show up more and they wanted more involvement with cheerleaders or the crowd or just watching the game in general. And as a cheerleader, I feel that we really need to up the amount of people that come to games and stuff because looking at the stands, it's ridiculously empty when third quarter comes around and it gets discouraging. And I think the environment is a big reason and a big contributing factor to the emotions of the players. And I think that's super important and it's about the emotion of our school as well. They usually found out through social media, which I think is interesting because we discourage the use of technology in school. And we talk about at Pirate Camp, the freshmen were told about internet safety. And if you don't need social media apps, you shouldn't have them because they're unhealthy for you. But we put out a lot of information on social media. So that was just something that kind of crossed my mind. And then overall, I had a hard time deciding if I was going to apply this year because I felt that by me applying, that's a slot that someone else doesn't have. But I also felt like I have so much more to say and so much more to do. And I do have a limited perspective. I'm not a person of color. I'm a white woman and that's just the perspective I have, but I'm here to listen and I'm here to hold empathy for others. And I know that there's more to improve. I can just listen. That's the best I can do and I can speak for others. And I have all these ideas of how student reps can be more accessible to the school and how we can make that a bigger role because there's people who want answers and they have no idea how to get those answers. This has just been like wonderful to be here and there's so much I learned from being here and I always just want to like know all the things we're doing and it's fueled my interest in psychology and political science and what I want to study in school. And I just think that it's so important to do something like this. And that's why I want to be here.
Good job. Just as a follow-up, what are some ways that you think student reps can better reach out to students throughout the year?
I was thinking something like a student panel would be an idea. So a time after school or during school or something that students can show up to and just ask questions. We have a suggestion box, but maybe one just for questions that we can bring to the board. More student reps, I think, should not only be to the board, but to the admin for our school and having those conversations with admin and talking about what we can improve within the school, because there are some things that the board has no control over and it's strictly building. And I think that's something that I want to improve because school board, I learn a lot, but I think there's more impact I can have if I also have those similar conversations we have here, but with admin.
Very good. Yeah, good suggestion. Okay, any more questions for Aubrey? All right, good job.
Good job.
Thank you. Right, Avi, and then Raina's after. All right. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Or good afternoon now. It's still morning. We got 2 minutes.
My name is Javier Quintana, as you guys know, I'm now senior at PHS, and for my report, I did 2 separate things, but I'm gonna start off with the pep rally this year. As we all know, last year was the year of spirit, and that was like very, very successful, I would say. Successful to the point where we saw that it was starting to drive a wedge between the student body because of the competition they were having, which we love that they were engaged and that they were participating in our spirit points, but we also didn't want that competition level to like affect our community. So in the beginning of the year, we met with Miss Cross and a couple other student leaders, and we came up with the theme for the year, which was unity. And the thing about bringing this unity theme was to have the students work together for a common goal than having to like be separated and have to like all work like for their own grade and have that conflict brewing. So I think the pep rally was a really good first look at how our theme was being responded to by the student body and how what people thought or what their opinions were of this theme. It was the first like big reunion where everyone, all the grades were together and we could just see how this theme was going to work out. And what I noticed a lot was, like other people have mentioned, is how the spirit level between the upperclassmen was a little bit more like, we saw more participation, we saw more engagement from them than the lower freshmen, even though the freshmen did really well in their spirit activities in the 8th grade assembly last year. We saw that there was just like something that had to like click, and we've seen how we can like improve that throughout the year. So the common responses when I asked about the pep rally in general included compliments on like the thought and the energy put into this year's theme. And we have like a lot of students that are like really, they may think it was like corny in the beginning, but as we go along through the year, we actually see how this like is like coming together. We like a lot of like the jokes will be like, oh, that's not unity of you guys to say, like if someone was insulting. And it started off like as a joke, like, oh, it's like, that's not unity, that's not unity. But when we actually like look beyond that, we actually see that people are acknowledging like the difference between like unity and having like the student body come together. And then some suggestions from the pep rally had like having spirit leaders in the stands instead of like in the front of the stands, so like we can encourage those people that are like sitting down like to stand up and like have that energy. And that was all I had for pep rally. And moving on to like my second subject was senior seminar. So as a senior, like I've seen the importance of like staying on top of all your work, whether that's college apps, whether that's OSAC or scholarships. And the FPC has like been a very great help. They're like so important for us this year. They help us like write our letters up. They help us like get our letters of recommendations or like help write our essays. But what we noticed is that a lot of people didn't take the time to see how the FPC was now yours to be in. Like last year, like the juniors were like, oh, that's a senior spot, but like it's like we've had like some hard time transferring that to like, oh, like seniors, you guys are able to use this now. Juniors, you can now start coming in here and working on your stuff. And that's where senior seminar comes in. This presentation talked about like the deadlines and how like coming in to check in with Mr. Reeves, Trio, Project Youth Plus was all important. And a lot of people didn't know about what they had to do to get to where they want to go there. I know a lot of like college driven people, they're like, oh, I really want to do this in my life, or I want to like pursue the workforce. But when I were to ask them about, oh, how's your application coming along? They're like, oh, what? So it's like what was mentioned before, how like we have a lot of resources out there, but pushing that out there is like very important. So people can like maximize those resources. That's like what the senior seminar did. And like having to like, although like having those resources and like figuring out a way to maximize them and like push them out to all of our seniors. So definitely saw like a lot of positive feedback from the senior seminar. I don't think I had like a single negative response about the senior seminar. And yeah, that's all I really had. Probably just like growing on the fact that like we could promote a lot of the things that we have a lot better, so like people can like continue to use those resources. And I'm just really excited to have the opportunity to come back and like grow on everything I did last year. Like this helped me, like being part of this board also helped me a lot as a student, and like having presentation skills and like learning to like see different things I didn't see before. So that's all I have. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions for Avi? Thank you, Avi. Appreciate it. Thank you. Raina and then Rachel after it.
Oh, hi. Oh, Javier is a little taller than me.
It can
Okay.
pick up
It can
wherever
pick
the
you
mic
up.
is.
Oh,
It
okay.
doesn't matter.
My name is Raina. This year I am a senior. I did my interviews on the first day of school because this year's first day of school is different than previous years because it had, instead of the freshmen coming in a day early, they had everyone come in on the same day. So I interviewed everyone from freshman to senior, people who had sports that day, people who were in link crew, people who like did band and everything. I interviewed a lot of different people just because I wanted to know what their perspective was like. So the feedback that I got is almost everyone went to the first day of school. I mean, it's the first day of school. But the main reason why a lot of people did is because they are so involved in the school and in the community. Like I said, people came for a link crew, people came because they had sports. People came maybe because they wanted to see their friend or see their favorite teacher. Because during the summer, you don't really get to have a lot of that. So when you're coming back, it's like, oh my gosh, yay, I get to see everyone again. So, that's why a lot of people went to the first day of school. The way that people found out was very broad. People found out because of social media or their parents. Some people got newsletters. I know I didn't get a newsletter, which was kind of weird, but I found out through social media. People found out during or by their parents or their older siblings, which was pretty cool, especially because I have a younger sister, so I like to remind her on a lot of things. I'm like, hey, don't forget about the football game tonight or something like that. And yeah, I think kind of repeating what I already said, but I think what involves a lot of the students here is all the activities and like how friendly we all are to each other. Because if you have a nice community that you get to be involved with every day, I think it really makes you want to become more involved and wants you to like, I don't know, like show up, which is really cool and nice to see. So I think the more like sports and the more clubs and the more events that we have at the school will lead more students and even families to be more involved. Yeah. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is your take on the spirit level from last year versus this year? I've personally seen you like out there screaming your brains out and I love you for that. But I'm wondering about what's the pulse? Like, what do you feel? How do you feel about how it's?
How are the vibes?
Yeah. What are the
The
vibes?
vibes are, I think since it is the beginning of the school year, obviously it's not gonna be as high as how the spirit was towards the end of the school year last year. But I think it's definitely gotten better throughout the school year. I would say the first football game definitely had a lot more spirit and a lot more anticipation than the more recent ones. But I think that's because everyone knew we were gonna win for the first time in a couple of years. I believed. But I think especially because the freshman class has 200 plus people in it, that is a lot more kids to like amp up the spirit and to like get involved with things. So I think as of right now, it's not as much as it was last year, but I'm hoping, this is my hope for the year, is that the spirit will grow how we want it to and not grow negatively, but grow positively throughout the school year. So, yeah.
Thank you, Raina.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Okay, hi, my name is Rachel Pepin. I'm a junior here. I am one of our varsity cheer captains and part of a lot of other things in the school. I'm pretty involved, in leadership, link crew. I'm a four-sport athlete and I'm in a lot of advanced, and honors classes. So I have a lot on my plate already, but I just love adding more to it. And I did my research on the homecoming dance because that was one of my favorite events of this year so far. I had a great time. Majority of my results, a lot of people, majority of our school went. We had a pretty good turnout, not as much as we had last year, but we still had a lot of students. And most of them said it was a really good overall vibe and they just were having a great time. Also, all of them said that the music could have been better, which we heard a lot of complaints about for a lot of different reasons. And one of them was that the music could have been more diverse. A few of the people that I interviewed, some of my close friends are Latina, and they said they did not feel as well represented because there was a maximum of 4 songs that were from their culture, and they felt that there could have been a lot more diversity there. But everyone said they felt safe and accepted, just that there could have been slightly more diversity. Again, the bouncy house outside was a really big hit for a lot of people, and there were tables set up so that not everyone had to be dancing to be part of the dance. Which I know actually made a lot more people feel like they could come and be part of it. A little bit more about me is that I transferred here in my freshman year. So I've only been here for 2.5 years, but I came from a school that was not as, they did not have the same community that's here. And the moment that I stepped onto this campus, there were people welcoming me and introducing themselves and saying how excited they were for me to be here. And I just felt immediately so safe here. And the community here has just been so incredible. And I just want to give back to it the same way that it changed my life for me. And I've really jumped into school and enjoyed it so much more here. And also with the students of why they attend this school. A lot of them said it was because of the teachers, and asked them more specifically what about it. And they said they brought the energy to class, that they made them want to learn. And to go deeper into that, I went ahead and asked the teachers why they taught at this school, because you can have students show up, but there's no point if there's no teachers. And so a lot of my teachers said it was because of the students. And they said it was the eagerness to learn and their want for knowledge, and them coming and showing up to events. And some of our teachers that are also coaches here get to know the students more personally. And that is really valuable for both the teachers and the students. And our lunch staff also is so grateful to our students here, and we could not make it through without them. The breakfasts that they prepare for us, the lunches, it's incredible food. And all of our lunch staff just said they adore learning more about each and every student and getting to know them on a personal level. And that's really what I want to bring to this school, is more deeper connections between our faculty and our students. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question. So I had the honor to help at homecoming because there was a few spots short. And I noticed that some of the students came in and then they left quite quickly. Did you have any conversations about, like, I'm assuming it was anxiety, but I don't know. Did you have any conversations about that so that we can make sure that once they get through the doors, they're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that at least one of the people that I interviewed didn't go to the dance at all. And they said it was because the game was right before it and they had played football and they were sweaty and tired and they didn't want to do it. And they said they probably would have gone if it was on a weekend. And I know that some students also left really quickly, like you're saying, because they just were exhausted from the day already. And it was just a really long day for a lot of people. And I know that if the music was a little bit more involving and it was more relevant to what the students were asking for, there were a lot of student recommendations that didn't get put on the playlist that a lot of students became frustrated about. I think that both of those things could have improved how many people stayed.
Thank you so much. Great job. It's DJs, man. Just gonna say, I got high marks when I did it. So. Okay.
Hi, my name is Ina Matula. I am a sophomore and a varsity cheerleader. I am in leadership and I'm also like the main spirit leader for my grade level, which means I'm like in charge, making sure everyone's like up and doing what they're doing. And as a cheerleader, I love that. And I love having cheer at the school. My grade level is not as involved as I would like it to be. We're getting there. Don't know why that is, but yeah. I take all advanced or AP or honors classes that I can. I have a 4.0. A little bit about me. I came to this district when I was in 7th grade. Before that, I had grown up on a small private school called Metford Montessori School where my mother and grandmother teach. Well, my grandma doesn't teach anymore. She's retired. But so I've grown up with teachers and I have like a special empathy for them because I've been there behind the scenes, seeing all that goes into prepping and planning. And I know how hard it is to be a teacher. And I feel like that gives me a sense of like ability to communicate with like the students, some of the background of what the teachers are going through and how they're like trying to accommodate for them and can kind of give me an idea on how to make a compromise between what the students need and what the teachers are able to give. With that, with my interviews, I talked to a lot of students about homecoming specifically because that was the most recent event. There's a lot of people there. I knew I could get interviews. There was pretty much positive reviews, but there was like a few negative things that everyone mentioned. And those things were the music. 80% of the people said that the music was not great. And they needed more diversity and like from different cultures, more variety of different types of music, shorter songs, like not letting the song go the whole time or not repeating the song multiple times. So that was a big thing that we heard from multiple people. Another thing was like at the end, there was like a different set time than what we were told. DJs were told one time, we were told a different at one time when that was gonna end. And that confused and frustrated some students. I heard that. Also, there's a really long line outside in the beginning. I'm not quite sure what we can do to help move slow or move more smoothly into dance. But that was also something, but a lot of people said that there was really good energy. It did get hyped after the first about like 20 minutes. Once like all the football players came in because they were like getting ready as a cheerleader, I had to get ready in the locker room in 20 minutes. So like once everyone got there, it was super hyped, super great energy. The decorations that Color Guard put up were fantastic compared to last year's decorations, I feel like. I think that was good. The tables, like everything, everyone literally loved that stuff. Like it was a good dance. There was quite a few people there. And then I was going around and asking people why they were coming to school. I got about 5 common answers. And that was friends, sports, their parents, like, and wanting their grades to stay good, their teachers, and not wanting to miss out on fun activities. And I thought not wanting to miss out on fun activities was a really good reason for kids to come to school. Like if they know that they're gonna have fun at school and they don't want to miss because they don't want to miss out on the fun, that means we're doing something right. Because school should be fun as much as it's about learning. Like it's also, we're spending 8 hours a day here. Like we want our lives to be fun. And I think that's really important that was something that some of the students were saying. Like, I know for me, that's something I don't want to miss out on any activities. I know a lot of other people. And of course, there's sports, like they want to be able to go to their sports. Sports are fun. You can't do your sports if you're not coming to school. So I think just like really how a lot of people were feeling, like school is fun. And that's why they want to come. I thought that was really good. And I think getting even more people to that point and wanting to come to school because it's fun would be a really great thing to do. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. I love the school. It's great.
I'm wondering why you are interested in doing this student rep position.
I'm friends with a lot of different people, kids who maybe aren't doing the best in school, kids who focus more on like hands-on jobs, like want to go to that, athletes, that. And I hear all of their interests and their thoughts and their needs, and I hear that, but I ask them like, well, why don't you go talk to staff about it? And they're scared. Me personally, I'm not too scared to talk to the staff about it. And because I'm getting that diverse like opinions, I think that I just want to be able to bring those to the board and have those students' needs met. So I think that's a really important thing about school is you want to be included and feel like you're needed here and wanted.
Great.
Thank you.
Hey, last but not least.
Hello, my name is India. I'm a sophomore here at Phoenix High School. And a little bit about me. I do 3 sports, have honors classes. So my prompt, I didn't really pick just one subject to talk about to every single person because I felt that if I just picked one, I wouldn't get much feedback. Some people would probably say that they didn't know I didn't go to a football game, they just didn't want to. I feel that that type of feedback wouldn't be really helpful in the aspect of improving things. I interviewed a total of 11 people. Some people went to soccer games, football games. A very popular one was first week of advisory. A lot of people said that during the first week of advisory, it's really just the same thing every year. They just give out information. They do advisory first period every day for about a week. And one even said that they felt like the kids didn't really care what was being said in advisory, so the time was just being passed by. And they were in that class for maybe about half an hour, without doing anything for about a week. There wasn't much productivity in that. Another thing I interviewed someone about was homecoming. And they felt that the dance was too early after the game. I interviewed a football player and they said that they felt that the dance should start later at a later time, considering that they had just finished playing a game. And 20-30 minutes after that, it's directly to the dance. Others also went to just the Hoko game. A few didn't really want to go to homecoming. I interviewed one person who didn't go. They said that they preferred hanging out with their friends instead of going to the game or homecoming. They felt that it just wasn't the type of environment they wanted to be in. Also that she didn't have an interest in football. And the people who did attend the game, a lot of them heard about it through their friends, through teachers, through announcements, because it was very advertised leading up to the homecoming game. And one person said that the student section wasn't very spirited, and then another person said that he was spirited. So there's kind of a middle ground there. And then a few people did go to soccer games, but they didn't have much input about that. Some just went because their friends invited them, or their soccer game was after that soccer game that they attended. Yeah. they noticed that there was a large population of Hispanic parents at soccer games and Latinx diversity. Others did say that they didn't notice a lot of people from African American descent. I think that's something that's not very popular at our school. It's not very, there's not a large population of African American people. Not only at our school, but I would say in the area too, I've noticed when going out and things like that. I would definitely say that the Latinx community is much more common here in Oregon. And yeah, I feel something that I bring to the table is the different groups of people I hang out with. Like I can hang out with juniors, sophomores, freshmen, and they all had different opinions about sorts of things, events, and I think something that just really keeps people coming to school. A very popular idea is friends. They just want to come see their friends at school. Also extracurricular activities, they find that construction or culinary, they look forward to it every week because they're doing something new in that class every day. And they're learning something that they feel would be productive in later on in their life that they'll actually really need. And I too have siblings in the district. I have a little brother who I believe fifth grade. I have twin brothers who attend here at Phoenix High School, two sisters who graduated from the school, and then a sister who also attended this school. So, yeah.
A lot of siblings.
That's all. Any questions?
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you all so much. This is one of the only times we can go into a private room to deliberate.
Their lunch starts in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want to dismiss them so that?
I can absolutely follow up with them today, if that feels more comfortable with you, right?
I'm also fine. I know.
Yeah, I
Me
believe.
too.
Yeah.
I'm down with
It's like Survivor, yeah. Okay.
So.
I just want to say something, you all did an incredible job. And I think we would all agree if we had 7 slots for student rep, we would select all of you. So this is gonna be a very difficult decision. But just know it's not because of, those who aren't selected, it's not because of anything you did or didn't do. Those were tremendous presentations, and you all are fantastic representatives for your peers.
Something that I noticed that just like in that last time, specifically from seeing Shane be so supportive. Anytime
Yeah.
y'all would say something, he's like,
Yeah.
what a gift to be able to like, not only, you know, want this for you, but also cheer for somebody else.
Yeah.
Especially in times that can be very hard and divisive and sometimes cutthroat, like, I wanna be here, as Mr. Campbell has noted. DJ. I don't think anyone would disagree. But it's just been really beautiful, like I also continue to watch you cheer for one another. I love seeing Raymond. And Elliot, like, what a beautiful thing. So my hope is that you just continue to cheer for one another. And even though you might not be at one of these seats, know that you have people that will represent you really well. So I love, love, love that. Thank you, thank you.
Good job, you all.
Thank you guys.
Touch.
Feeling this out before